In this video, we're going to take a look at 6 different run types that the Seahawks use to knock off the 49ers in that divisional round. Here, they're going to run strong side, outside zone with a pin. Fullback motions back in the backfield. You'll see Darnold checking this play at the line of scrimmage. My best guess says that they've got a weak run that checks to a strong side run, and if this safety rotates weak, that's going to be the check. So they want to run away from the rotation of the defense. Safety down to the right. Okay, we're running to the left. So let's go and take a look from behind. Fullback gets set. You see Darnold rise up, make the check. Guys echoing it out, just confirming. Really, they do that to confirm when you're watching tape. Their coach knows, okay, you did hear the check, you got it, and you're making sure everybody else understands we're checking the play. You'll see Njigba here in a position potentially to mess with this defensive end if it was staying a weak side run. Hard to say for sure if that's what they're doing. We obviously don't work for the Seahawks. Maybe you do, but I do not. All right, so right here, Kupp is going to have the pin on this strong side outside zone. If you're going to run strong side outside zone, the base way this tight end is responsible for this defensive end. And you can get a lot of mismatches right there. Defensive ends, the highest paid players on the defensive side of the football typically. These are freak athletes, tight ends, hybrid types, not necessarily true run blocking types. You get your mismatches. These guys tend to win more battles than they lose. So how do you change the angles? How do you take the pressure off the tight end? Well, you pin the guy from outside in. And so you pin him and you say, okay, Kupp is usually responsible for that corner. Well, he's going to take the end. So you go ahead and you take his. You now get the corner, and they're going to get this fullback out around, and he's going to be responsible for the alley. Now, this alley player here, he's going to show up first. So you'll see the tight end says, on my way to the corner, alley player showed up, I'm going to take him, and the fullback's going to adjust off that block, and he'll go get the corner covered up. So here on the inside, strong side, outside zone, these two going to work in conjunction up to 43. Center and backside guard working up to this backside linebacker spot. 72 here, he's sifting the backside. He's responsible for whoever is the most dangerous threat in this inside gap. And right here, it's only these two guys, right? And neither one is an immediate threat into his gap. So kind of a cool technique over here. I don't know that I've ever seen this, and if I did, I wasn't paying attention. He gives a jab step at that end to try to freeze him, and then heads up and gets this safety picked off. Let's start on the front side, though. Kupp on the pin block right here, and he gives up a lot of penetration. And first things first, Cooper Kupp probably about 200 pounds. This guy probably about 270 to 290 pounds. So he's given up there's a lot of body mass that he just doesn't have and can't match right there. Pretend this was toss crack and you were trying to get that tackle around. Well, the tackle is probably not going to make it with that sort of penetration, but it doesn't necessarily matter here. Tight end, more athletic than a tackle, lined up closer than a tackle, he's able to get around no problem. And the fullback is the other guy they've got to worry about getting around. You'll see the fullback's heels more or less right here on the white line, gives up a little bit of ground. You can see him hitting here, gives up about a yard to make sure he makes it around that block. So ultimately, a productive block by a guy who's giving up a whole lot of size to the guy he's trying to block. They get these two around. Backer right here tries to come under the block, doesn't quite have the juice to make it there. Charbonnet outrunning him to the perimeter. Center right here, great job getting this cut inside the box at the second level. Gets that backside linebacker on the ground. And again, love the technique here with the jab foot and then heading up. Good job here by the fullback adjusting in space. Turns into a big explosive gain. Next play, we're going to look at weak side, inside zone. You'll see they start in that 12 personnel bunch. They bring the first tight end over. They know this is going to get this end to shift outside of him in a 9 technique. And against this 9, they're then going to bring the second tight end in motion and kick him out. They ran a ton of this in the playoffs. It showed up again in the Super Bowl as well. They've got weak side, inside zone from the other 6. Kenneth Walker on fire in these playoffs, running hard, really hard for one man to get him on the ground, consistently falling forward, certainly earned that massive contract. So from behind, tight end comes across. They get the Niners to shift. They get the 9 technique, the wide technique right there. For just a second, let's pretend this guy is just lined up. Say they just lined up in their final formation and they're just running the play. Well, this tight end would have to cut this guy out of the inside gap, which is tough. For all the reasons we said, it's difficult for a tight end to block a defensive end on a strong side outside zone. It's all the same stuff right here. You've got a hybrid type player blocking a big dude who's hell-bent on destroying the guy with the football. So how do you make it easier? Well, you can change that angle. You let this guy get a running start, goes over, same foot, same shoulder, and just blast the guy and just keep him out of that gap as best you can. So that's what they're doing with that second tight end. The rest of the blocking on inside zone. Tackles got the defensive end. These two zoning up to 53. These two zoning to the middle linebacker spot. And tight end able to zone through that open gap up to that linebacker. Good job on this kick out. You'll see he goes old school, same foot, same shoulder, gets buckled a little bit, but again, giving up some significant size to that defensive end. Great cut here. Kenneth Walker presses it downhill into the heels of the line. You can see cutting right across that backside guard's heel right there. Feels the gap open up, accelerates downhill. Seahawks line, awesome job all season. Next play up, strong side inside zone here in the low red zone, but they're running it out of 11 personnel. So they have to get in this close split here with Cooper Kupp because he's going to be responsible for this weak side defensive end on strong side inside zone. So you know when they hand out the game plan on like Wednesday, Cooper Kupp's flipping through and he goes to the page, it's got all the passes, and he's, oh yeah, I might get that one, I might get that one. Like this can be a good game for me. Keeps flipping, gets to the run game stuff, and he's got to be like, these are asking me to do what? Anyways, true professional, goes out, executes the job no matter what is asked of him. From behind now, strong side, inside zone to the right. So they're going to leave Shaheed on this corner here. This tackle, first uncovered lineman play side. And so he's uncovered. Basically, is there somebody right on your shoulder over here? No? Okay, you're uncovered. He's going to triple with this tight end. They're working up to the safety. Guard here on this defensive tackle, zoning up, zoning up, zoning up. Kupp, the tough draw, having to get this defensive end cut out. And Jigba going to come in and get the nickel who's in man coverage on Kupp right here. So let's start with Kupp. And Kupp's technique right here, this is very reminiscent of Tony Gonzalez. We had Tony Gonzalez when I was with the Atlanta Falcons. Tony Gonzalez, the greatest football player to ever play the game. I'll probably say that about a couple of other guys as well, but Tony, an absolute stone-cold stud. Tony, kind of an underrated run blocker. Everybody sees Tony catching 100, 200 balls a season, and they're like, oh my goodness, all he wants to do is run around and catch balls. Well, no, he was actually fairly effective as a run blocker. He wasn't dominant, but he was a productive player when you asked him to be one. And this is exactly what he would do. He would cut this guy out, and he would take that upfield arm and he would try to trap their arm in there. So he'd try to get that thing stuck in there. He'd take this hip and he'd start working it vertical on that guy. And so he would try to move the guy off the line of scrimmage while holding him, cheating, right? Getting his arm stuck in there so the guy couldn't really do a whole lot. It actually ends up being fairly effective. Kupp going to the exact same thing here. He says, hey, I'm giving up 70 pounds. Can't believe they're asking me to block this guy. Don't worry, I'll grab his arm and get him stuck on me. Well, Kupp gets him cut out. So who's got this D gap as this ball is winding back? In all likelihood, the guy covering Cooper Kupp. Well, shoot, he's standing right on that defensive end. They are in the same exact gap. Nobody here to stop this ball from winding back. Safety coming out of the middle of the field. The only guy with a chance. Glancing blow. Cannot stop Kenneth Walker from walking into the end zone. Walker walking in the end zone. That's a good one. That was an unintentional pun right there. Next play, we're going to see strong side outside zone with a shove block. Some teams call it a dig block. I'm sure there's 100 different terms for it. I don't know them all, but they're going to run strong side outside zone to the right, and this tight end is going to aggressively reach this defensive end. He's got the defensive end lined up outside. He's going to aggressively reach him, and if this end pinches inside, it's not his problem. But if that end stays a 9 on him, wants to maintain outside leverage, he has help coming. This guy's going to blow up that guy's inside hip to get him moving, and then they're going to continue up to the corner. Since they've got the corner, Kupp's going to come in and crack this safety, and they're going to zone it up on the inside, which we'll look at from behind. But right here, you can see the premise of the play. They want to get this widened with the shover. They want to get this pinned with Kupp, and they want to get through that alley. And they get exactly what they want right here, and they do a great job with it. And Kenneth Walker gets tackled by one guy right after I told you it was impossible for one man to tackle Kenneth Walker. So they're coming across in that fast motion. Aggressive reach block, knowing that he's got help protecting against any inside move. Tight end and defensive end staying outside right here. Great job getting on his shoulder. He wants that hip. If the hip's not available, get him moving. Good job getting that defensive end widened by the second tight end. Kupp coming up, getting that crack block on the safety. Inside, zoning up to 53, zoning up to 43. You'll see, you can kind of see this guy in front of 67. 67 got to get out ahead of him. Good job on the interior. Everybody on their spots. 53 tries to backdoor this thing. No chance are you making it on strong side, outside zone. Backdooring like that, they got a serious problem on their hands. Great adjust. Tight end on the move, gets that shove, and then heads up and gets the corner covered up. That's awesome. Nice job. Good execution by the Seahawks. Yeah, fired up and deservedly so. Yeah, look at them both. That's good right there. Nicely done. Next up, strong side, outside zone, going into the boundary to the left right here. No shove block this time. They get everybody covered up. Kenneth Walker makes it look easy getting into that end zone from behind. They get the under front. They've got the nose here, 5 here. They're going to go out to the 9 with this F tight end or second tight end. These two going to zone up to this backer spot. These two zoning up to this backer. On the backside, they actually have a third guy on the line of scrimmage. He's coming. So they're going to B block this. B just meaning we're going to control this B gap, and they're going to see who is coming. Is somebody going to try to come over the top of this? Are they going to try to run under it? Who's going to be the most dangerous at that defensive end and guy blitzing off the edge? Great blocks here on the front side. Tight end getting, you see him hitting those sleds in training camp and in practice. This is reminiscent of hitting the sled, trying to get that low leverage, hitting on the rise, trying to get those hands inside, fighting to reestablish hand position. Great job. I think that's Barner right there. Really good. Good job getting to the front side of this linebacker here. Maybe a little bit of a hold, getting away with it. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. 79 keeping his feet running there at that left tackle spot. Not able to get his hat play side, but keeps that guy moving. Not allowing him to. If that guy's going to make the tackle, it has to be an arm tackle, and Kenneth Walker's going to run through that arm tackle 99 times out of 100. Exceptional execution again at the point of attack by the Seahawks. Final rep, we're going to look at pin and pull to the strong side, coming down here to the right, motion cup down. He's going to bluff at this end man on the line of scrimmage. Niners have put their Sam linebacker on the edge. They're going to bluff at him. He's going to come up and get the corner. They're going to come down on the defensive end. Tackle's going to pull. He's got that end man on the line. They're going to come down on this interior defensive lineman. Center's going to pull, zoning up the backside to that linebacker. Center going to pull. He's got the safety. Again, you'll see this is well designed and extremely well executed here by the Seahawks. Niners doing them a little bit of a favor, as we'll see from behind. Another easy touchdown. All right, so Kupp comes down. He's going to put some indecision in this guy's mind. And then this guy, it ends up, there's a lot of indecision because it looks like, in all likelihood, he's the guy who needs to compress this hole. As this tackle comes to him, he needs to engage and he needs to keep that thing right there so that all his buddies on the interior can rally to the football. Well, he ends up going over the top of this thing, and he gets pinned on the inside. Probably worst case scenario for a defense. The guy who's supposed to set the edge is now reached, and the edge cannot get set. So he goes inside, gets stuck. Great down block by that tight end. You'll see the center coming around, gets around any trash, heads right up and gets that safety blocked. Probably illegal by the safety going low like this as they're exiting the box. Does not get flagged. And on the backside, zoning up, and they get 43 picked off. Got a whole gap advantage right here. They go get 43 picked off. This is late in the game. I think everybody on the Niners defense has probably had enough at this point. Great job by the Seahawks on the ground in the divisional round.